So this past weekend at Fight Island in Abu Dhabi, UFC 251 took place after a week of build-up, and I have to say this was one of the most disappointing and boring fights I've ever seen take place in the UFC. Now, you guys know I'm a huge UFC fan. I watch every single fight. I watch Fight Night. I watch the pay-per-views. But what I saw in the main event this past Saturday was atrocious. Kamaru Usman literally just leaned up against Jorge Masvidal against the cage and stomped on his toes for the entire time. It was not good fighting. I mean, am I a fan of striking over anything else? Yes, I am. Does the ground game get a little boring? Yeah, it kind of does. But do I know how to identify when a triangle is being put on someone? Yeah. Do I know when an armbar is being attempted? Yeah, I do. Do I know when a guillotine choke's being attempted? I do. I know what's going on the ground. I watch the ground game, and it's not terrible, but my God, what happened this past weekend was awful. After the first round, this fight was terrible. Usman literally just laid on him the whole time. I thought he might be able to end it when he got to the ground, but he didn't. He still just laid on him. And I see a lot of garbage on Twitter right now about how if you thought this fight was boring, you should watch boxing. If everyone who thought this fight was boring watched boxing, boxing would be one of the biggest sports in the world and a lot bigger than the UFC. Last night, boring was trending in the MMA circle on Twitter with 999,000 tweets. If you don't think that this fight was boring, I think maybe you're the one that's lost. Because if I wanted to watch that garbage, I would have watched a wrestling match or a jiu-jitsu match. I mean, they were just in the Muay Thai clinch the whole time, and Usman was just stomping on his toes. And because he had more clinch time, he obviously was in control of the fight, and he obviously is going to get the judge's scorecard. If you guys honestly think that that was good fighting, I don't know what the heck you're watching. I also saw another tweet where people were saying, oh, it's only a boring fight because their guy lost. That's not true. The fight before this, I had money on Dan Hooker to win by knockout against Dustin Poirier. Dan Hooker lost by decision, but that was one of the best fights I've ever seen. I even have a video about it saying it was possibly one of the greatest fights of all time. These guys went in there and they were slugging at each other. They weren't hugging up on each other. If you really think that that was entertaining this past weekend, I don't know what you want to see in the UFC, because stomping on a guy's toes, that's not fighting. I don't understand this. I'm praying someone comes along and knocks out Kamaru Usman, because I'm done. There's no reason to watch another Kamaru Usman fight. That was so boring. Like, why on earth would you expect someone to pay $50 or whatever it is to watch some guy stomp on another guy's toes for 25 minutes? That is the worst thing I've ever seen. But I just wanted to get that off my chest. I'd be interesting to see if you guys watched the fight, what you guys thought about it. That's all I have for this one. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, peace.